Hello friends, this is your good buddy Jesse, and today I'm going to be showcasing one of my favorite modern decks for the past year, Green-White Hexproof. Um, so, just a brief explanation. We have your typical suite of Hexproof 1-drops and Core Spirit Dancers, and then a bunch of auras, and then 4 disruption spells. Usually I go with Path to Exile, but for this daily event I'm going to play Leyline of Sanctity, and I'll explain why in just a moment. But yeah, basically the deck is just trying to assemble one large creature, and if you're trying to make a huge creature using all your cards, you're going to want the ability Hexproof. So, now Core Spirit Dancer doesn't have Hexproof, but it's good in matchups where the opponent's not killing your creatures, so that you can kill them by turn 4, because it's a turn 4 format. And then in other matchups, you just rely upon these guys. You can mulligan to them. Sometimes you can even rely on Dryad Arbor as a sort of a hexproof creature because it's a land, and a lot of cards don't hit lands, such as Abrupt Decay and Thoughtseize and all those kind of cards. So I have it nice and organized so you can see which auras I'm playing today, because sometimes I swap them up. Ethereal Armor Rancor, never change those. Those are your power 1-drop auras. Then we have 8 Umbras. Usually play 8 Umbras. You don't get much better than +1/+1 for 1 mana. There's really no other cards that give you much more than that. And then of course they give you abilities. Reach, First Strike, and Totem Armor, which is nice against Wrath of Gods. And then of course we have Daybreak Coronet, which is pretty much the namesake of the deck, even though none of the green-white hexproof decks are called Daybreak Coronet in any way. I have 3 Spirit Mantles. These let you push your humongous creature past any number of chump blockers. So, complements Rancor in that. And then we have an Unflinching Courage, which again gives you some evasion and is a 5th Coronet sort of, since it gives you lifelink. Alright, and now let's talk about Leyline of Sanctity. So usually I played Path to Exile in this slot in the old format. This was before Treasure Cruise was banned. But in the new format, most of the top decks, or like 40% of the metagame, is Liliana decks and decks with burn spells. So this is actually pretty good. In fact, this is usually in the sideboard just for those matchups. So since they're the top of the metagame, I felt like I could main deck it, and it has applications against other decks as well. You might even see it being used in this daily event for other purposes. But worst case scenario, it does at least pump your Ethereal Armors when it is kind of a dead draw. But it's to be noted that Path to Exile can be, a dead card against certain types of decks as well. The one thing I really like about Leyline of Sanctity is the first thing, I don't like sideboarding in it against a lot of combo decks, because in sideboard games people are going to be boarding in their enchantment removal against you anyways, because you have auras, and they're also going to be boarding in cards like Echoing Truth, so they don't just lose to sideboard Leylines. But when you have a main deck, you can actually just auto-win against certain combo decks. Storm, they don't have their Echoing Truths or Wear Tears main deck, so this can just shut off their Grape Shot kill. They also don't have Empty the Warrens main deck usually, so they don't have that alternate win. And then against Ad Nauseam, they too don't have in their Patrician Scorns or Echoing Truths, so they can't Lightning Storm you. So this is actually a good Game 1 hate card against combo decks, but I don't like it in sideboard games. Alright, so that's the main deck. Yeah, I just have your usual suite of lands. Nothing new, if you're used to the green-white hexproof deck, that is. You basically just want all of your lands to producing green and white mana, because you want to play a green 1-drop, and then you're going to want to play Daybreak Coronet if you're just stuck on 2 lands. Battery's almost dead, so I better hurry this up. And then, yeah. Let's go to the sideboard and see what I'm playing today. So I have 2 Gaddock Teagues. These are helpful against decks with expensive cards that could just go over the top of you, like Escape Shift, or cards like All Is Dust or Karn out of the Tron deck, Gifts Ungiven, things like that. 3 Stony Silence. This is for Affinity, and it comes in against Tron as well because Tron is one of your not very good matchups, and this gives you a chance against them. I have 3 Path Exiles. Since I don't have the main deck, I can board them in against decks where I need some spot removal, like Splinter Twin. I have 3 Aethersworn Canonists, just as like a catch-all anti-combo card against Ad Nauseam, Storm. You can board it in against Living End, which is a really bad matchup. I have 1 Burnt and Forge Tender as a little bit more help against burn decks, and sometimes you can board it in against decks with Anger of the Gods to protect your creatures. And then I have a couple of Naturalize effects. I have a split between Nature's Claim and Seal, because Seal of Primordium can destroy a Chalice of the Void on 1, which is really good against this deck. It also is kind of cool that you can tap out for it, and then in future subsequent turns tap out for stuff without worrying about dying to certain cards like Inkmoth Nexus or a Splinter Twin. And that's the deck that I'll be playing, so you may notice that this deck tech video is 10 days past when I made the other videos, but yeah, just ignore that fact.